back to the boat neck. Today I'm working on my Com-Pac 16. Com-Pac 16 right here. I backed it up underneath the carport just to get out of the hot sun. It's blistering hot. Just trying to get it in the shade a little bit. But what I'm working on today, the compass on this boat, which it doesn't work. All the fluid's out of it, and it's actually the card is actually upside down in there. But it was never bedded. I don't know. I guess the previous owner installed it, but it's never been bedded. But also the electrical, the little bracket that held the night light is missing. So you can stick your finger all the way through there. There's just a hole there. There's just nothing there. Plus it's not bedded. So when it rains, and I don't know how long it was like that before I got the boat, but you know, water would leak in there just a little bit when it rained, and it was getting down inside dripping straight down on the starboard bunk there, just a little bit. Now, since I've had the boat, I don't keep cushions in it, but I've got cushions for it, but I don't normally keep them in the boat. So it's just been dripping down on the plywood there on that starboard bunk, and rotted out a little place about the size of your hand, just in the top layer or two of the plywood. But it's enough to where it needs to be cut out and repaired. So that's what I'm working on today. I'm going to cut that out and just cut out a section of plywood there and repair it, you know, epoxy it back in. This boat, by the way, is for sale. This is the boat that I've been using in the last several YouTube videos. You know, when you've seen me out on a Com-Pac 16, this is the boat I've been using lately. Most of the summer, if not the whole summer. It's a great little boat. It's pretty much original. It's a little bit dirty right now. It needs washing, but I really haven't done hardly anything to it because it was in good enough condition. It just needed to be sailed. It didn't really need anything. But I did want to fix this place on this bunk before I sold it, so that's what I'm working on today. And in the morning, I'll finish it up in the morning. I'll have to sand it out and paint it. So what I'm doing here is just taking a frame and square, and my new piece of plywood, I'm gonna bring it all the way out to this edge rather than cut it in the middle there, and I'm gonna come all the way up here to where the angle starts. That'll be my cut. And as far as how far back that way I'm gonna go, let's see here. So right there is the place that's rotten. Right there, about a little bit bigger than my hand right here. I need to cut out beyond that, so I'll probably come on down about here. That's still good back in there. That's still good back up in here, although it is getting into that spot right there a little bit, so I may end up having to cut it a little bit further this way. But we'll see. So I think I'm going to go to start with 18 inches. Once I cut this out, I may find that I need to open it up a little bit more. If I do, I do. But I know that it's good and solid, you know, back down in there, and it's good and solid up here at this end. It's just this one spot, and this is where the water was coming from, right there. That was the main culprit right there, is that compass. The light holding fixture that was supposed to be in that compass is not even in it, and so there's a hole right there. There's just a wide open hole right there for rainwater to drip in, and plus it wasn't bedded. So. That's what I'm going to try to cut out right there. So I'm going to go get me a dust mask because I know I'm going to be making a whole lot of dust. Honestly, that's the biggest problem with doing a repair like on a boat like this. It's not doing the repair, it's the cleanup afterwards. And it's not always easy to set up barriers and vacuums and all that kind of stuff to deal with everything. Sometimes you just have to make the mess and then clean it up. And in here, there's just not a lot of room. So. It's 95 or 96 degrees today, and it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's blistering hot. I have a fan blowing down into the lazarette lid on the back of the boat to get a little bit of fresh air coming up through this way, which feels nice. And I back my boat up underneath the carport here, underneath a shelter to get me out of the direct sunlight. So I'm going to set this saw on a 45-degree angle and then set the depth for the 1/2-inch thickness of the plywood so that I'm not cutting unnecessarily deep. That should be about right. Alright, so now I won't be able to cut it completely out with the skill saw. I'll get what I can and then I'll just take my oscillating saw and finish it out freehand. But that will get it to where I can get, I'll be able to cut it from here to here, and I will be able to cut it from here to there. And this back corner right there, I may not be able to quite get to the corner. There'll be about 1.5 inches right in this corner that I won't be able to get to get that undercut at that undercut 45-degree angle. So I will have a little bit that I'll have to cut out by hand or with an oscillating saw. But again, right there's the place is rotten, right there, and it's about that big. It's about that big. Now this one's a little bit tricky because you got to drop it in at the angle to get it going. There's really not much room to work in here for doing this kind of thing, but it is doable. Okay, I got most of it cut out. Now, I'm pretty comfortable with the skill saw. I'm a builder by trade and by profession, and I've been a carpenter for over 50 years. So I've run a skill saw since I was a kid. Actually, probably I've been running a skill saw for 60 years. 60 years probably. So very, very young. So I'm pretty comfortable with one. If you're not comfortable with it, don't do it. You know, you're responsible for your own safety kind of thing. That should be cut out enough to pop it out. Other than that little bit right there, I've got about 2 inches to cut right there. The oscillating saw. I can lift it up now, but I don't want to break that corner. But it's loose, it's separate. I'm going to just finish this up with this oscillating saw. Finish up that corner, and it should pop right out. And like I say, I may find that I need to go a little further than I did, but I need to take my starting point here and then go from there. Back there seems real good. Right here, I'm not 100% sure yet. Okay, now you can see there where it's got that expanding foam in there, and then you can see the staples there and how rusted out they are. So I'll be refastening all that. That's pretty good right there. This is good. This is good. There's one little spot right here where I may go back and take out another 1/2 inch right here, just to get rid of that one little spot right there that's potentially not perfect. So I'm gonna work on this a little more, open it up just a little bit more, take my measurements. I'll cut my replacement plywood on the table saw so I can get a good clean 45 on that, and dry fit it, and I'll make it ever so slightly smaller so that I can put heavily thickened epoxy on this 45-degree angle. I did the 45-degree angle because for 2 reasons. For one, it lets the piece drop in the hole and stay put and not fall through. But the other, it gives me more surface area to glue with the epoxy, to thicken the epoxy. When you cut it at a 45, you have much more surface area to glue to. So that's why that. I hit that staple with my saw blade a while ago, cutting through. I heard it when it hit it. Cut one side of that staple. But the carbide blade, not too much trouble. And I do have on my glasses, safety glasses. So we will proceed. Like I say, I think I'm gonna probably cut out another 1/2 inch right here and then see how that goes, and then go from there. I got to clean that corner up just a little bit right there. Okay, so there, got it dry fitted. Fits pretty good right there. I'm just a touch long, so I'm gonna trim right there to there just a touch, and then it'll be ready. What I'm gonna do, I will saturate this surface, top and bottom and all 4 edges, with epoxy resin, including all of these edges with epoxy resin, before setting that in and thickened epoxy. And I will also I will take and glue and maybe screw in a cleat underneath, like underneath here and underneath here, and probably not here since I've got the foam in place to support it anyway. But that'll help support as well as the 45 and give me a little bit more fastening and gluing area. But that should take care of the problem. You know, come back and sand it out and paint it, and maybe even put a piece of glass tape, fiberglass tape, around the 3 sides there to bond it in even better. And go ahead and epoxy this on all sides and edges. And this I'm gonna let dry overnight, just to make sure there's no moisture there. I've got a fan running. I'll just have a fan running on it, and I'll coat that. And then after it gets starts to tack up a little bit, then I'll glue it all in. I've got my shop vac here. We'll clean up some of the sawdust, especially down in the hole down in there where I won't be able to get to it later, and make sure I don't leave any wood debris or wood fibers down in there that could potentially, you know, get wet and rot. So I'm going to clean all that stuff out. Okay, I've got all of the edges coated in thin epoxy where they could soak in good. I've got the bottom of this panel soaked in epoxy as well. And then I use thickened epoxy in the joint all the way around. And then I'll just use some weights here. And that should be pretty close right there. That up a bit here just a minute. I'm going to put a couple of screws in it. That's deep enough. So that'll hold it in place and also hold that stringer. And the weights are holding it down pretty good. I got that corner there is up just a little bit. We'll see if I can screw it together in that 45 and see if it'll hold it. Okay, I pulled it down. Once this cures, I'll come in here and sand it down and clean it up good, and then coat the top. I didn't coat the top yet because I knew I still had to sand it out anyway. A real good squeeze out everywhere. So that's good. Trying to clean up as much of it as I can, so I won't have quite so much sanding to do. But inevitably there's going to be sanding. Alright, there it is, patched up and coated with a coating of thin epoxy. Let that soak in. And once that cures, I'm going to come back and sand it all out and then put some probably some 3-inch tape, fiberglass tape around it, just to tidy up that saw cut a little bit. Got it sanded out and de-waxed and sanded out last night. And a coat of total bilge paint on it. So it worked out right. And it's level with the other piece, so it's good enough for under a cushion. Paint color doesn't match particularly good, but you know, it's what I had, and the bilge paint holds good. So I thought that was a good option for it. Well, I think it's going to a new home this morning. Got somebody coming down from Virginia. Supposed to be here in a little bit to look it over and potentially buy it.